Okay, so with the trigonometry, I apologize beforehand in that I don't actually have the worksheet with me. I left it at school somewhere. But regardless, you know, we often talk about showing working. So for the trigonometry question 1a, for example, showing working means something like this. I've identified the sine and cosine. I've identified sine and cosine, tangent rule. Well, cos of 20 degrees equals to adjacent over hypotenuse. This counts as working. Then the rest of them, you can just go cas solve. Okay, something like this. I mean, cas solve, there's nothing really that different. It's not any different to any of the cas solve you had from previously. Just remember, mode must equals to degree, all right? And in terms of the number, you want it to be approximate, all right? That will give you the most efficient answer. But remember, you need to be, in the exam, you need to remember when to switch your mode. So, for example, if you're doing linear and quadratics, you need to use exact mode. I mean, this will come if you have been doing sufficient number of questions. Familiarity is the biggest key to success. Question 2. So question 2, I'm gonna do A. I mean, like most of them are pretty much the same. Again, this is instead of finding this, I mean, you're looking for this. So this requires an inverse application of sine, cos, and tan, but it's just which one is which. Well, have a look at this. I can see 3 and 6. If they haven't given you the side length of anything, that means that side is irrelevant. So the only side that's relevant is the side opposite to the theta, which is a 3. Something that's in front of something, that's called opposite. If you're standing in front of me, you're opposite to me. All right? And 6 is hypotenuse. Opposite hypotenuse, that sounds like a sine. So sine of 3 over 6. I think it's 30 degrees or something. Okay. Question 3. Things gets a bit trickier. A lot of people didn't get this right because they haven't read the question. So a 4-meter ladder makes an angle of 75 degrees. I mean, thus far I haven't used my cas at all because they're not really that new. There isn't any new skill. All right? I'll bring the cas out a bit later. A 4-meter ladder makes an angle of 75 degrees with horizontal. What does the word horizontal mean? It means flat ground. Right, something that makes a 75 degree to that implies an angle that looks like this. Right, and the ladder itself is 4 meters. This is asking us, how high does the ladder reach up on the wall? It's looking for x. X is the height that is covered by the ladder when it's put against incline against the wall. Round it off to 2 decimals. All right, ladies and gentlemen, quite a few of you did not write. Quite a few of you did not include the right units, nor did you get right with the rounding. And also, a lot of you have left out the degree sign. If you don't have a degree sign, you get 0. All right, let's make sure we understand this one here. So for this question here, opposite hypotenuse. I mean, opposite means it's in front. Opposite hypotenuse, that's a sine. Therefore, sine of 75 degrees equals to opposite over 4. You can literally, I mean, if you're good with the algebra, you can literally just go straight away. X divided by 4 equals this. Well, x is 4 times sine of 75, or sine of 75 times 4. I like to put the 4 in front so that the 4 doesn't get multiplied into that. I mean, you can easily make that kind of mistake. These are some of the stuff that you will know. Well, even if I don't know what the answer is, the x must be smaller than 4, okay? All right, let's move on to question 4. Now, question 4, 3 kilometer. The other one is 800 meters. A lot of you slept down the numbers regardless. Well, I'm sorry, 3 kilometers is 3,000 meters. Or you can change that to 0.8 kilometer, but meters is better. I don't like decimal points. This, once you have done the unit conversion properly, Well, this simply just becomes another one of those inverse sine question or inverse trigonometry question. I mean, 800 seems to be opposite, right? The 3 kilometers seems to be adjacent. So opposite, adjacent, the answer is tangent. So theta is tangent inverse of 800 over 3,000. Now, a lot of people got wrong answers because they wrote down 3, which evidently isn't correct. And from memory, if you look at that angle, I mean, I think from memory, the answer is 15 degrees. You know, answer seems to be 15 degrees. I mean, if you just look at the angle itself, it's basically an acute angle, okay? Now, question 5. We're starting to, well, most people get the first 2, but the third one is a bit wrong. Question 5, have a look at this. For the angle given, find the bearing. Well, find the true bearing from O to each of them. Remember, it's from the center to each of the points, not from the points to the center. Slightly different there. And so, for angle A has a 20 degrees. So, well, if you look at the angle, you can literally read it out. It's 20 degrees from east. So, it's 20 degrees from east. East essentially is 90 degrees. So, this implies 90 take away 20 equals to 70 degrees. I mean, you can think like that. I mean, put that into a sentence. If maths is not your thing, use English, okay? So it's like use other subjects to replace the maths component. Don't just look at number, oh, the number is hard. Well, put it into a sentence, make sense out of it. Find different ways, to go around it. There's always, nobody said you can't do this. Therefore, you can. For angle B, again, B, there seems to be a little angle leading up to, so there seems to be a little angle away from S. So it's 45 degrees from south. South is 180 degrees, by the way. So therefore, it implies it's 180 degrees minus 45. Oh, sorry, I have not put the circle in there as well. So this would equal to 135 degrees. Most people got the first 2 right. Now, part C. C is almost all the way up to north. All right, and they gave us and they gave us 73 degrees beyond west. So we can literally say this is 70 degrees after W. Now, what is the bearing of W? If you're going towards the left, it's 275 degrees. All right, so it's basically, this implies 75 degrees plus 275 plus 73. That will give us 3, 5 is 8, 4, is that right? 270, sorry, 270. Yeah, 3 plus 0 is 3, right? 343, so 343. The same name, I think there's a game company called Studio 343. So 343. Okay. Question number 6. I mean, thus far, if you look at it, calculator is not a big thing for this topic here, not until a bit later. So if your calculator somehow breaks down, this is what I want to see in your working. I mean, if your calculator actually blows up halfway or runs out, or God forbid, runs out of charge, well, it's not game over, provided you are able to show me some basic working. Okay, so what I'm showing here is simply just the steps. Like, it's hardly anything not completely out of whack. Now, question 6, a lot of people didn't do this well because they did not bother to draw the diagram. Well, first of all, a ship traveled due south for 4 kilometers. Okay, down. All right, and then on a true bearing of 150 degrees for 9 kilometers. I don't know if I'm just basically like roughly drawing one of this, but in order to appropriately demonstrate the bearing is 9 kilometers, you do this. It's basically draw another little bearing line and just show that this is 150 degrees. Okay, so that's 150 degrees. That's basically the premises of the question. So start, and your ship currently is here, and so find how far east of the ship it is from the starting point. So it's basically asking me how far how far that way is the ship at. So basically you can launch like a little line here, and we are basically looking for this line here. Now how do we do this? Well, we need to figure out theta 1 first. Well, what is that angle? Theta 1 is 150, take away 90. Remember, this angle is 90 degrees. The entire span is 60 degrees. Okay, so you got theta 1 is 60 degrees. And so so now you're able to create a little triangle here, and we can literally say, well, this part here is x. Well, how do we do this? Well, have a look at this. That seems to be adjacent. That seems to be hypotenuse. All right. So adjacent, hypotenuse, that's cos. So cos of 60 degrees equals to adjacent over hypotenuse. And so x would be 9 times cos of 60. I believe that would be 4.5 kilometer, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so that's the unit. Okay, so this is basically part A. Part B, find how far south the ship is from the starting point. Well, how far south, it's literally asking me to find this position here. What's this? How far south? It's this position plus that. So how far south equals to y plus 4. Now y is simply, now that, remember from your translation, that particular length can be translated to here. So y also is here. How do we do this? Well, instead of coming up with something new, we can use this triangle we simply use this triangle to figure out what y is. But instead of cosine, we can use these two pair to figure out sine, to figure out something else. I mean, you can also use the x value to figure out this, what this is as well. But let's just use the one we know. So that's a hypotenuse. That's it's opposite to it. That's opposite hypotenuse. That's sine. And so it's sine of theta, which is 60 degrees, equals to the opposite over 9. Well, if you put that into your calculator, give me a moment. Give me a moment. Let me turn this on. Oh, here we go. That's fantastic news. All right. And so, with the calculator ready to roll, remember, you can press this button for a quick calculation instead of opening up a new page. What I mean by that is, if you look at this clearly, if you look at this, a lot of students may be, let me just make sure this area is bright enough for everyone to see. Yeah, quite often I've seen students making this mistake. They go this, they press out of it, they open again. Look at this, how many, you out of it again, into it again, out, in again, out, in again, out, in again. And so if you're not aware of this, a lot of students have, like some students, a lot, I've seen that they're up to 25, 30 something. And that's what clogs things up. So it is a good habit every day, control new. You just basically delete everything, okay? Using this doesn't cause new pages to be opened. It's that little thing beneath save. You open this and just type this in. But let's make sure we understand we are on the right page. So if you press that again, it gives you graphing. So press that again back. So on again, we go to, you press 5. You go to document setting. Okay, we need to make sure we have everything. We go float is the number of decimal places. Let's say 12. I mean, that's the maximum allowed. Angle must be degrees. Exponential form is irrelevant. Real or complex is irrelevant unless you're doing special maths. Calculation mode, approximate. Approximate is for trigonometry, but you need to change it to exact later on. Press OK. All right, so we're back to this again. I mean, you can calculate this a number of ways. You can calculate it the way I'm doing. You can calculate it by doing this. But by doing 9 times sine of 60 degrees. You can do 9 times sine, you press this one here, sine of 60. Boom, 7.79. 7.79, and so your distance equals to 4 plus 7.79 equals to 11.79 kilometer, meaning you're that distance. A lot of people's answer here, remember, is a lot of people wrote 4.5 plus 4. I'm not too sure how they got these answers because they probably didn't calculate the right part or use the right trigonometry ratio. Okay, and so for this question here, for this particular question here, I mean, the other way, if you're not sure, if you're not confident of doing this, because it's much quicker for me to do this. But if it's not efficient for you, type this into your calculator, right? You type this into your calculator, CAS solve, just like usual. So menu, algebra. Remember, algebra is going to be accompanying for a while. Menu, algebra, sine of 60 degrees equal to, comma, like fraction y over 9. I mean, you can use any letter you want, if that's up to you. Now remember, you don't put comma x down here. Quite often people can make this mistake. You need to move 1 over comma x, close bracket. Now, watching very carefully, errors can be made here. The number of bracket on the left must equal to the number of bracket, the number of brackets curving one way must equal to the number of brackets curving the other way. Otherwise, if you add an extra one, you see, they give you one extra one. But I don't think, as long as you close off all the brackets, I think life is good, but you don't need any extra. Boom. What did I do here? Oh, here we go. I made the mistake. Have a look at this. I wrote X. It should be comma Y. Don't panic. In the exam, quite often people fail because they panic because they made a slight mistake. You can always go back, press up again, press enter, go back over again, delete the Y, delete the X, press Y, boom. They give you that. So our answer needs to be 2 decimal spots. Well, here we go. And that's the thing. I will write up the full solution and, well, on the page again and scan it onto the forum. So stay tuned for Monday, as I did not take it home.